Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bad Millennial Podcast. It's your host, Liz, and I am super excited to introduce something new today. I am giving you real, raw video footage. So you can finally see me and my pretty face as well as my amazing voice as soon as I upload this video. I'm not sure if I'm going to upload it on Spotify or another hosting platform, but it's all going to be recorded for the history books, so when I finally make it big and everything, you'll be able to look back and see where I started from. So super excited to have video footage for you guys, as well as a brand new podcast episode. So I am on a pause from Scandival because, the last episode as well as the reunion episodes are coming up, and I'm going to save all that tea for when everything is out and we have the full blown extra, you know, episode notes. Peacock has extra video and behind the scenes stuff that I'm going to be pouring over. So for all of my Bravaholics out there, just be prepared because that is coming. But for now, we're going to stay on Bad Millennial Business, and I'm going to try something even newer. I have a guest, my first guest ever on the Bad Millennial podcast. So I'll be introducing her soon, so we can have a nice chat, Q&A, spill some tea. It's going to be fun, y'all. So stay tuned. And I'm so glad you've joined me for the Bad Millennial podcast. Talk to you guys soon. And we're back. Hi, it's your host again, Liz. And I have a special somebody here with me. So, my very first guest on the Bad Millennial podcast, it's my girl Maya. Say hi, Maya.
Hey,
I have roped her in against her will. No, I'm kidding. She definitely wants to talk with me. But this is my friend Maya. I have met her through actually my boyfriend. Follow me now. His brother is the fiance to Maya. So we've connected a lot actually. And we just find like such good topics to talk about. And the way that it flows, I'm like, okay, we need to like get this on the podcast. So why not? Like there's just so many things to talk about. But one thing we really kind of hone in on outside of reality TV is relationships. Mine's been like a long-term relationship since like what, high school, right?
yeah, after high school.
Yeah, like very long time. And I've been dating my boyfriend for about almost 3 years at this point. So we've kind of gathered a lot of like tips and how to's and just like overall thoughts about the dating world, especially now that there's so many ways to date people, not just like meet someone in the supermarket nowadays. Like, with me, I met my significant other on an app. Yes, I know, shocker, but Hinge does work, you guys, for some people, versus people who met their significant other in school, like Maya did. So we're gonna go into it, and I'm super excited for this conversation. So let's get started, shall we?
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, do you want to give them a little background on your relationship, like your dating relationship, and how long you guys have been together?
Yeah, we met in high school. So we met like in some Spanish class that we had. But we didn't start dating until after high school.
Okay.
Um, then we've been together for I don't know, like 7 or 8 years.
Oh my
8 years,
gosh.
I think. I don't even remember. Like I have to count the years so that I can remember because I do not remember.
Oh my gosh, almost a decade. Like one of our
Yeah.
other favorite couples, Vanderpump Rules. Yes, but yeah, wow. I mean, what's the secret to like a long, happy relationship?
I don't know. I don't feel like there's a secret. I think it just so happened that it worked out. I feel like a lot of people like think that there's like a secret, but I don't really feel like there is one. I think you just have to keep working on it, and I guess we'll get into it more.
Yeah.
Right? But it's just so happens that we're really compatible and we get along, and if we argue, we try to like tackle it there. Um, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just like a one advice I can give people.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a good point that it's not really a secret, but it's kind of an open secret for relationships that you have to continue working on it.
Mhm.
It's not just a one thing, oh, we fell in love and Cinderella and happily ever after. Happily ever doesn't exist without you putting the work in,
No,
okay?
no.
Like, I'm sorry, if you're not putting the work in, then
It's
it's
like a
like,
job. It is
yeah.
like every day you go to your job, every day you come home to your significant other
Hmm.
or whatever, to your pet. Like you have to like do things to maintain it.
Yeah,
So
you have to clock in every day. Like, you can't just go to sleep on it because that's how breakups and divorces happen. So, yeah,
hmm
like, not gonna do that. So, I think that's a good segue into like one of my first, questions is kind of like, how do you recommend like getting through all of the crappy sides of relationships, like,
hmm
whether it's fighting or, disagreements on like who's taking the trash out
hmm
or, just figuring out like what you want for dinner, like how would you kind of best recommend working through these little minor problems with your significant other,
hmm
but that could blow up into like a big to do, because I find that like a lot of people, if they're not agreeing on everything 100%, then they're just like, irreconcilable
They just
differences. Like,
give
I
up.
can't deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you have to get over these things or figure out how to, create solutions to these problems. Like, what's your go-to? Is it kind of like, okay, you win this fight this week and I win this fight next week? Or
Honestly, I think like when we were first dating, like I like the first few years, I guess you could say, like
Mhm.
I we didn't really have like a way. Like it was very like either I'm right or you're wrong kind of thing. Because you're just like we were so young when we
Yeah.
started dating that like I didn't know nothing, and who was I gonna ask for advice?
Right.
All my other friends like were in the same boat, or if anything, they were also going having arguments and stuff. So I never felt like I could ask anyone for advice. It's like you figure it out.
Right.
But I think as I got older, um, and I would like try to listen to some of my older friends because a lot of my friends are like older than me, or I have like a few friends that are older than me. And I would try asking them for advice, but the same thing. I just feel like there's no one that I can go to for that. But from what I had seen, because I also like to watch a lot of podcasts and
Hmm.
like I like to watch people talk, and I like hearing women talk about relationships. It's just like sometimes it's not really worth the argument.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times I find if you're arguing like with your man or with your, partner or whatever, you don't always have to like win.
Yeah.
Like you can give it to him sometimes, and it's like sometimes in the end, like even they feel bad. They're like, oh no, like you'll be like, oh, you know what, you're right. Like it's okay, like you're right. And then you keep moving. They're like, oh well, and then maybe they are even like, oh, like you don't know what's the issue, or it kind of just like opens up something for them to be like, oh, she said that I'm right,
Hmm.
because usually it's the woman that's always right.
I mean,
But I
usually.
think you don't really have to win every fight. Like it's
Mhm.
exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I know us as women, like we like to be right all the time, but it's exhausting. And it's
Yeah.
like sometimes you can just give it to me and it's easier, and then you don't have to continue arguing.
And then it's like done.
Yeah,
And honestly, I feel like your energy is best spent elsewhere, like
it
building the
is.
connection or
Mm-hmm.
being romantic or whatever. And like really, like you said, like it's kind of like you just kind of give it to them, but it's also like, I want this relationship to keep going. Like
Mm-hmm.
this relationship isn't going to end over this one single fight.
No.
If anything, the main fight should be staying together and keeping this relationship fresh and keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, oh, I won this one or you won that one. Like it's not a competition. Like,
No, it's not.
yeah, like you're in it together. Really, the
Yeah.
end goals. You're on the same team, basically, which I think people should realize with their relationships. You're not here to fight each other. You're here to fight against everything else with each
Yeah.
other.
And the thing is, like, we wouldn't really fight about really big things. Like,
Hmm.
maybe like once or twice we've had like a big argument, but it has never been to the point where we're like, oh, I have to be, you know, super right on this, or it's never been like such. We've never had issues that big. It's
Yeah,
more like small things that get on my nerves or get on his nerves, like
yeah,
cleaning, or before we like lived together, it was like, oh, where are we gonna go eat? Like it wasn't nothing crazy.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you're hangry, anything goes.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. We're not really like super argumentative people.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you guys actually have an open like communication with each other. You can talk it out, or at least be on the same page with most things. You would say.
Yeah, and I feel like George already kind of knows like my attitude or like how I am.
Hmm.
And so if I'm ever in like a bad mood or something, like it's weird. It's like he doesn't like he's not really as super affected by it,
Hmm.
or he is affected by it, but like he won't like pick at me to try to make me more mad or anything.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, and I also understand how he is. So like if he's not talking or something and he just like won't say anything, I'm like, oh well, he's tired.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go and be like, oh, like you know, or just start picking an argument.
Right.
Unless I really feel like, okay, I need you to hear this. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. Like
Yeah.
you're not catastrophizing and being like, "Oh, he's just being quiet because of this or that." Like you
No,
know him pretty.
I don't
Yeah.
overthink that stuff.
Okay,
No.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because honestly, being in a relationship for like years,
Hmm.
it's interesting how you learn more about the other person as well as yourself, like
Yeah.
how you respond to that person's like ticks and when they're mad or happy or whatever, and kind of bouncing off each other. I'm curious how you guys have been able to like keep it fresh and interesting because it's been so many years and like since high school you've obviously changed as a person,
Hmm.
as a woman. So I'm just curious, like how have you been able to kind of keep the relationship fresh while you guys are still growing and becoming your own different people? Like you're obviously different from when you were like 16 to like now. So just curious how you guys keep it.
I don't feel like it's easy. I feel
Hmm.
like we've had like not in our relationship, but just like in our individual lives, like especially mine, I've gone through a lot of different things in
Hmm.
my early 20s.
Yeah.
Um, so I think like for me, it took me a long time to even acknowledge like, oh, we have to keep trying to make it alive.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because I'm just like we're so young, like we'll be all right, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then like when you're with someone for so long and you start like getting bored or and it's happened since we were young. Like there's been stages like where we get bored. Like we're
Hmm.
just like we don't really like we didn't put the effort to try to keep things alive or like keep going on dates
Hmm.
to a certain extent, right?
Ooh, date night is important.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to stay
Yeah.
connected.
So I think at one point, like I was like, you know what, like I don't feel excited like right now. Like, what are we gonna do so that we can actually keep engaging and
Hmm.
keep because obviously, like you said, like I'm not the same person I was when I was 17 years old. I'm a
Right.
25-year-old woman,
Right.
and you change a lot as a woman, and you change a lot as a man too.
Hmm.
So um, it's something that I feel like we're still figuring out. And now that we're like about to get married too, we bring that up too. Like, how is this gonna work? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's hard. It's definitely hard. But I think sometimes you get to like kind of like a lower point in the relationship. Not like low as in like we hate each other, but we're just like bored of each other.
Right. Right.
And like it takes one of us to be like, okay, usually it's me
Hmm.
because I feel like George, he doesn't really like say things.
Hmm.
I don't know why he just doesn't express it.
Hmm.
I'll just be like, you know, I kind of wish we would do more dates, or I wish like you would try to plan stuff out a little more.
Hmm.
And he'll be like, oh, well, you know, I didn't know you wanted me to do that, or, you know, stuff like that. Because I feel like men sometimes they just like let the time pass by. They don't
Hmm.
really pay attention to things.
Hmm.
We also have to realize like that's kind of how men are. Like sometimes they just don't pay attention to those things.
Yeah, and like when something's like not obviously
Hmm.
wrong, they're like, "Well, then should I change anything?"
Yeah,
Like the routine is smooth, like there's no obvious problems
right.
right now, so it's kind of like, what else do I need to be doing? You
Yeah,
know?
and also it's like maybe when I'm feeling like not like stimulated in the relationship, maybe he is,
Hmm.
and
That's
then
true.
like he doesn't realize that I'm not,
Hmm.
or maybe it's the other way around because
Hmm.
sometimes it is the other way
Yeah.
around. But I think it also helps like when you have your own individual hobbies and like maybe that person like sees you, you know, getting into your hobbies and you're in your own like lane, like reaching your own goals, sometimes that's like attractive to your partner, I feel,
Oh yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah, because you're like
So,
becoming more of yourself and you're
mhm,
able to show that you can make yourself happy and
mhm,
support yourself. And I think that independent spark
mhm,
honestly is what initially drew you guys to each other.
mhm,
You know, you guys were interested in other things that made you who you are. Just because you're together doesn't mean you get to lose sight of that, you know. And if
mhm.
anything, if you're able to grow outside of the relationship, coming back together becomes like even more powerful, I feel,
Yeah.
versus just like you constantly are doing everything together. Like
No,
that gets
yeah.
boring.
I think that's the other part is like how to keep it alive is like you just basically do your own thing.
Mhm.
Like you're not. I'm not saying it's bad to do stuff together, because we obviously like do stuff together all the
Oh
time,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But I like to do like my own stuff in my own individual time.
Mhm.
So I feel like if you're just like working on yourself and you're working on becoming like a better person, or you're just like trying to what is it like, you know, increase your skills or your hobbies or just
Mhm.
yourself, like then you can come back like to your partner and be like, oh, this is what I did today, and it's like something different, and so maybe they're more interested in the conversation. I know for me that's like what I prefer is like when we own have like, you know, your own hobbies, and then you talk about it, and it's like that's kind of what attracts you to the person and keeps you like interested.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exciting to have a partner who's actually motivated in life to
Mhm.
do something, even if it's
Mhm.
something as simple as like I read a new book today, you know,
Mhm.
or I went on a jog, or I,
Mhm.
you know, went and bought this new outfit or something,
Mhm.
like, or going on a whole event or something. Like
Mhm.
it's interesting to be interesting. And so if you're an interesting person doing your own thing, then your partner becomes interested in you
Mhm.
versus like you guys are just sitting in the house all day and like staring at each other. Like that's
Yeah.
like the lowest form. I read somewhere that like kind of the lowest form of stimulation in a relationship is to just be at home watching TV.
Yeah, it
You're literally
is.
watching other people live life and do things. Meanwhile, you two are not having connection. You're not doing anything. Same thing like for me, I feel like first dates should not be in like movie theaters because
Oh
you're just
yeah,
sitting in the
no.
dark, you're not connecting, you're not talking to each other. And it's like, well, what's the point? You're kind of like an old married couple at that point. So
Mhm.
I feel like definitely being able to bring things into a relationship that's different from what you guys would do together, it definitely makes for a stronger relationship. So I love that. And I
Mhm.
love that you acknowledge that it is not easy.
Mhm.
It's hard,
Mhm.
but you kind of like have moments of growth and you're kind of like, okay, this part's hard. Let's talk about it. Like you said, he can't be a mind reader, you're not a mind reader. You guys have to communicate, you know, and it can't be like passive, like, oh God, there's dishes in the sink.
Mhm.
Okay, well, what's the issue? Is it the
Mhm.
dishes are dirty? Or is it, you know, you have to cook again, or, you know, have to order takeout again, or why aren't we going out on a date, you know, outside of the house?
Mhm.
So definitely communication is key. Relationships are hard work and better yourself. Like, you know, whatever hobbies and stuff you had before a relationship, don't neglect those things. Like, keep watering your own flower and, you know, mowing your own grass, if you will, you
Mhm.
know, but like keep yourself interested in yourself, you know, like RuPaul says, like, how the hell are you gonna love somebody else if you can't love yourself? So I say
Mhm.
go by those words because they're preaching right now. So
Mhm.
I love that.
Mhm.
But let's get off of the problem track because I feel like
Okay.
you have
Yeah.
so many good answers and it's
Mhm.
really stems to good communication. But like,
Mhm.
what's your favorite part or favorite parts have been of being in a relationship that's lasted like this long, would you say?
Um, Probably like you always have someone who's there to like listen to you,
Mm-hmm.
um, and support you. Like I think that's what relationships are for, so that the other person can support you and be there for you, especially like when life gets hard. Um, you know, a lot of people have like, you know, big families, like they can go talk to their family and stuff like that. Um, I feel like for me, I do have family members that I can go talk to, but there's nothing like having someone who like really knows you in and out and understands why you're feeling that way in that moment. Um, be there for you. Of course, like you have someone you can go like traveling with, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like you have your your vacations, or you know. whatever. You have like someone there to spend time with.
Yeah, and someone
And
take your selfies for you and everything.
yeah, I mean, like, well, in my case, George sucks at taking photos of me, but I take better photos of myself. But it's nice to have, you know, someone who, like I said, knows you, and if you feel like you want your life to go a certain way and that person also has similar goals to you, then you both can try to achieve them together. Like,
Mhm.
for example, me and George, our dream was always to own a house.
Mhm.
Like, and we did that.
Yeah.
So it's nice when you both are kind of like have the same goals in mind and you both like work towards them. And then when you achieve them, it's like, wow, like we really did that. What else can we do?
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
put your heads together and really
Mhm.
the sky's the limit. Like,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
I also love how you kind of have like a built-in best friend who also knows you, who like who's grown up with you and has been on the journey with you versus just like, friends and family are great, but they're not with you like 24/7
Mhm.
and like you haven't talked to them about your deepest dreams and like
Mhm.
goals in life. So being able to have somebody who is with you on the same path and journey is like pretty great. And I also love that you can like bounce ideas off of him and he can
Mhm.
just listen without judgment. Like he's just there for you. So like having someone who you know is always on your side, on your team, like that's pretty great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like he's on my team. Like
Hmm.
if I ever want to do something or if I ever like I don't want to do something. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like I really don't like this job. I'm like I think I should need to do something else. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I think you do. Like if that's how you feel, then, he'll like back me up and
Hmm.
he'll be like or if I'm ever feeling down about myself, he'll be like, "Why are you thinking that way? Like this is not who you are. This is who
Yeah.
you are." You know,
That
kind of thing.
reminder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that because sometimes when you get so in your own head, you don't realize the kind of person that you really are.
Hmm.
Or maybe sometimes that person can remind you, like, this is who you are to me, and this is like what's really important,
Yeah.
you know?
I love that because we have our own like inner saboteurs,
Hmm.
who are just like constantly like the bad talk and like, you can't do this, you're not that person, or you screwed
Hmm.
up that time. And so, like, I love how you have like a supportive partner who's like
Hmm.
not only there to listen, but also like remind you who you are, like
Hmm.
who you are as a person and who you can be. Like, I love
Hmm.
that feeling of support, like constantly there. That's amazing.
Yeah, you can learn from that person too. Like, there's a lot of things that George knows how to do that I will never like
Yeah.
know how to do.
The
Like,
fixing of the cars,
yeah,
the mowing of the lawns,
yeah,
the I don't know, all things that have to go with even like running a house too. Like I bet
yeah,
you guys are both like learning new things.
yeah. And not just like that, but like also like mentally, I guess you could say. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like I've learned a lot how to be like more patient
Oh,
with him,
yeah.
and I feel like for me, he's just kind of learned to be like maybe like a little bit more like critical or more careful
Mm.
with you know just things in life. I feel like we both learn different things
That's
from each other.
amazing. I
Yeah.
love that because honestly, whether you live alone or with family members,
Hmm.
for the most part, you're kind of just taking care of yourself and recognizing what you like.
Hmm.
But when it comes to a partner, whether you live with them or see them on the weekends, like you do have to allow space to learn from each other and like what you don't like about each other, but what you do love about each other,
Hmm.
and things that you can gain from that other person.
Hmm.
So like that's awesome. They're not just there as like a pretty date on the weekends. Like
Hmm.
they're actually there building you up and, introducing you to a whole new world, even though you guys
Hmm.
have known each other for like what seems like forever. But
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you guys are still surprising each other and like
Hmm.
learning new things together. So
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
I love it. Don't we love love? But again, it's hard work. You
Hmm.
can't just give up on it when it's hard. If anything, you have to dig deep. And as I say, like every day you wake up, you choose to love that person. You choose to love yourself first, and then you love that person actively, with
Hmm.
whatever you do. Let's give them some tips, shall we?
Chips.
I
Okay.
mean, I don't know. I've just been like thinking about reality TV lately, and obviously Scandal Vanderpump Rules has been on my mind
Okay.
and burning my brain, but you haven't watched like not even an episode, right?
No, because I just heard about it. I
Yeah.
literally just heard about it, and then you were telling me about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like it's not really advertised,
Mhm.
but from what you're saying, like I do want to watch
Bro,
it.
I'm gonna convert her because it's blown up. But I do remember one of the things that we talked about was being careful about who you let into your relationship.
Yeah.
Because with this Vanderpump Rules scandal, basically this girl's best friend is the one who was messing with her man for what seems to be over 6 months by now. But the sad thing is on TV, she trusts her boyfriend and this best friend implicitly, which obviously was bad on her part. So I guess my question is kind of like, who do you allow to like be in your relationship? Like, do you actually bring other people in, like ask for advice like that, or like air out your dirty laundry, or are you kind of like more careful? Like, yeah, I'll talk to people and like try to get advice, but I'm not trying to like have somebody get in between me and my man, sort of thing. Because with this Vanderpump Rules thing, like apparently she let this girl stay over at her house even when she wasn't home, and really trusted her as a best friend and thought that, oh, my boyfriend and her, they're just like it's a brother and sister type of relationship. Like I would trust her with my whole heart. Obviously the wrong choice. So I'm kind of wondering, how do you handle your relationship when it comes to other people? Like, do you listen to the naysayers or like let other people know all of your issues? Or are you kind of like, what's ours is ours and what stays at home stays at home?
I feel like I've always been just very private about my relationship because, well, one, I don't feel like there's much that I have to like. That's like, oh my god, this is tea. Like I have to go. You know what I
We don't
mean?
need the cameras.
Yeah, I feel like maybe now that we started like living together, there is like more to it that I kind of like want to go to like my friends who are married or my friends or my family members who are, you know, with their man for a long time.
Mhm.
Like, oh my god, this so and so happened. How do you deal with like your man not helping you around the house, or
Mhm.
like how do you um, be more interested in your partner now that you're with them every single day.
Oh my
Like,
God,
you
yes.
know what I mean? Like, stuff like that is kind of what I ask about now.
Yeah.
But I feel like for most of my relationship, the years that I've been in it, I have never like really expressed too much with other people. Maybe like once if we were kind of having issues,
Mhm.
I would bring it up to one of my close friends and be like, "Hey, girl, like this is how I'm feeling. Like I'm not feeling this right now, or whatever the case may be." But I'll keep like I'll share a certain amount. I won't share everything
Right. Yeah.
because I also feel like once you start letting people know every single detail about your relationship, it just kind of leaves room for judgment.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's bad to share. I know a lot of people who like wear their heart on their sleeve and they share everything, and that's fine, but it's just not me. It's not my personality to share that much with people
Right. Right.
because I just feel like that's how I like to keep it,
Mhm.
and it works for me. Maybe other people, they feel like they have to say everything. um and I don't even like to tell my family, like, if me and George have a little argument, I'm not gonna go running to like my family and be like, oh my god, like, this, that, and the third, because then I feel like then your family is gonna be judging your partner for some stupid stuff.
Mhm.
um so no, I'm very private. I like to keep it like that. If I ever really feel like we're having relationship issues, then I feel like at this point we're old enough to like go to like marriage therapy or something,
Yeah.
or um but I feel like you shouldn't share too much. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
If you value your relationship, um there's just so many things that you can keep to yourself.
Yeah.
And there's like juicy stuff, like maybe like sex related stuff, or stuff like that you can share with your friends, like that's fine, I think. um, but like everything that you were saying about that show, that lady, her friend was like the one who you know was doing shady stuff behind her back. You really
Mhm.
never know.
No.
I'm not talking about friends. Maybe it could even be like coworkers,
All right.
because at George's job, he's had, like, people say crazy shit about, his relationship with me, or like, why are you with her? Like, blah, blah,
My gosh,
blah.
yeah.
So you really never know who it could be. It could be somebody at your man's job too.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
oh, that's a problem.
And
But
like, what if, like, I did share a lot, or what if he did share a lot with other people? Who'd be like, oh, well, they're going through it right now, so like, let me take my chance. Or,
oh
you
my
never
gosh, you
know.
never know.
You never know
Yeah.
what people are thinking in their head.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know.
And you never know what like a friend or a coworker can do and like change if they know too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like people who share their relationship issues with others are kind of looking for external validation, like
Mm-hmm.
to know like, oh, this is the right relationship and I should stay in it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people who talk about their partner with their family members are kind of like looking for that signal of, oh no, you should go with someone else, or like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, this is the right person. But again, you're dating for yourself. Like this is your relationship,
Mm-hmm.
so you should be happy with this person,
Mm-hmm.
not my mom needs to be happy with them, or my best friend, or my coworker.
Mm-hmm.
Like because a lot of these issues too can also be misinterpreted, or
That's what I'm
there's
saying.
so much. Yeah.
They'll just be misinterpreted by other people, and it leaves room for people to. And I mean, I don't really care at the end of the day what people have to say about my relationship. Um, but sometimes it's just better left unsaid. Like, I'm not a super jealous person,
Mhm.
so um, I mean, I don't know. I feel like for me, I prefer to keep most to myself. If I really need advice, I'll ask somebody.
But for the most part, you're not going to be the first person to be like, girl, guess what he did the other day?
No,
Like,
and
da da
I don't.
da.
Yeah, and I don't like to talk bad about him. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if you're talking so bad about your partner all the time, that just shows a lot about your relationship too. You know.
Truly, honestly, it's almost like some people get like a high off of hearing bad things about people.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you feed that energy to other people?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
relationships that are not right for that person, but that person has to figure it out for themselves. It's not like you to be like, no, you shouldn't be with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's grown up now. Everybody's an adult, can make their own
Everybody's an
decisions.
adult.
Yeah, we have free will. No one's chaining you to this man or woman.
Mm-hmm.
So like live your life, but also
Mm-hmm.
don't be happy about my unhappiness. Like what kind of
Yeah.
friend is that too?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. I think
Mhm.
also, I like your point about, if you really need help, like going to therapy, counseling, like
Mhm.
that's what they're there for. Like there are actual relationship and marriage counselors out there who are not just going to listen, but also teach you tools on how to better communicate with your partner, look into problems at a different angle, or like to rethink them as not just problems, but just like things you guys haven't communicated clearly yet. So
Mhm.
highly recommend therapy. It's great. Group therapy is even more fun because you can hear from other people and you're like, okay, my shit's not as bad as theirs. Like my shit doesn't stink as bad as theirs. So
Mhm.
that's great too.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we are very therapy positive on this
Yeah.
podcast. So
Yeah.
whatever you need to air it out under confidentiality.
Oh, for sure. And sometimes it's even nicer to share stuff with, like, people you don't really know,
Hmm. Yeah.
than like somebody who has known you for years. I
Cause
don't know.
yeah,
It's
because
weird.
they're like they won't take sides.
No.
It's like Switzerland. Like I'm gonna hear you out, and I'm gonna hear you out, and just give my honest opinion,
Mhm.
or whatever things I think could help you guys. Because they're there to listen and also to help, not to judge, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh, so many other questions. What else do you want to say about like long? I mean, to me, more than 2 years seems like a long relationship. But I guess if you could talk to yourself back when you first started dating
Mhm.
George to like now you're,
Mhm.
about to get married, you guys have a house together, you have a dog together. Like,
Mhm.
what kind of advice would you give your innocent little self before knowing what you know now?
Um, I feel like when I first got into a relationship. Actually, I didn't want to be in a relationship.
Really?
No,
Why?
I because I was always very focused on myself, and like at that time I was very focused on school.
Mm.
So I wanted to like finish school. I wanted to keep working. It was very hard, like for George to convince me to go out with him.
Oh my
I think
god.
he asked me out like 2 or 3 times.
You said no? Oh
Yeah, because
wow.
I was very firm. I was like, I do not need a boyfriend. I do
Mhm.
not want one. I want to be focused on myself.
Nice.
Um, so I think I would just tell myself like, if that's really how you felt, maybe it would have been fine if you were single for a few more years or
Mhm.
like some more time. Because I think when I'm a firm believer now, even though I didn't do it, but this is advice that I would give to like any younger women, or like if I were ever to have kids, which I don't know if I will, but if I were ever to have kids, I would tell them like, don't take dating so seriously when you're so young.
Mhm.
It's not really that important. At that time, you should be worrying about um, either going to school or going to work, or getting serious about whatever hobby you want to do. Like being like at that age, it's more about exploration. Even now I feel like I'm still young, like I still
Mhm.
have time to explore. But I would tell myself, you don't have to give your all into relationships or even friendships when you're so young,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
it's really those years are about yourself, and if you feel like you need to be alone to do that, then that's fine. If that person is truly meant for you, or if that person cares about you that much, they'll wait.
Mm. Yeah.
They'll wait. And I tell George that all the time. I'm like, you know what? If we had never gone out, um, if we ever ended up together, then we ended up together. If we didn't, then we didn't.
Exactly.
I think you should go after when especially when you're a young woman, is to just, date. If you want, date around. If you don't want to date, preferably probably not date. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but I think that women, we get so like focused on it, and
Mhm.
we like kind of forget about everything else we have going on. um, I'm not saying that I did that. I feel like I was focused on my relationship, but I was also focused on everything else.
Mhm.
If not, like maybe me and George would have gotten married when I was younger. But I was very like, no, like I need to do certain things before I think about marriage and before I think about all that stuff, So yeah, I would just tell myself, if you don't feel ready, or if you feel like you don't need to be with George for some time because you want to worry about yourself. And truly, that's always what it's been. Because me and George have broken up like maybe once or twice.
Mhm.
And it was solely because I felt like I needed to be on my own. It had
Mhm.
nothing to do with like I wanted to, be with other men or anything like that. It's never really been about that for me because like I said, like I was never like a huge relationship person.
Mhm.
Um, so I think I would just give myself like more grace too, because
Mhm.
I was just really hard on myself when
Yeah.
I was a young girl. I mean, I'm still young, but
Yeah.
yeah, you don't need to be so focused on a man all the time when you're so young. Like it's not worth it, in
Oh
my
yeah.
opinion.
Honestly, I feel like women and young girls get into a trap, and it's mostly because of society and
Hmm.
culture,
Hmm.
because like our worth is a lot more determined on another person, like, oh, you have a boyfriend or
Hmm.
you have a relationship, like that somehow is seen as markers of success,
Hmm.
versus with guys it's just like, oh, you graduated college, you got a degree, you're a manager, you got a promotion, like those are kind of the markers of success for guys.
Hmm.
And I feel like with women, it's just very much relationship driven, and people are expecting, are you going to get married? When are you going to have the babies, and all of that stuff. And it's kind of like, well, when all of these messages are being given to young girls, like
Hmm.
even the princess stories back in the day, it was all about finding that Prince Charming, getting babies, and living happily ever after. Like there was never a focus on women as people themselves.
Hmm.
So I think that's really good that you knew from a young age that you wanted to just better yourself and focus on yourself. Because again, like if you're not a full happy person
Hmm.
by yourself, how are you going to be happy with someone else? Like
Hmm.
you can't expect someone else to build you up or
Hmm.
to make you happy. You have to do that on your own. And I feel like another trap of relationships is that you expect this person to make you happy, to complete you. That you weren't born half made, you were born as a complete full person. And so you have to realize, who you are depends on who you are, not someone else who just comes in when you're 20 or 15 or like 40, because you're still going to just be with yourself versus whoever you're going to be with. So I love that you're able to realize that and also put that as a priority versus like, well, I have to be the perfect girlfriend or wife or, you know, dog mom,
Yeah.
like you have to be the perfect you.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I think that's really important too for happy relationships and for people who are just happy with themselves too.
Yeah.
I think that's really great.
I think at that age too, like I remember every girl in my life or like women in my life were so worried about like being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, oh well, I'm talking to this guy or this guy's not taking me seriously. And we're like very early 20s, like
Mhm.
19, 20,
Babies, basically.
21. And I'm
Yeah.
just thinking back and I'm like, dude, like why were we worried about that stuff? Like I just feel like when you get older and you realize as a woman like how much power you have or how much like energy that you carry and how much better women make the world,
Mhm.
you just think like why the fuck was I thinking about some like dude, like crusty ass dude,
Right.
when I was like super young? Like it's just not worth it.
Exactly. Like, and like you even said, like, if it were meant to be, it was meant to be. Whether
Mhm.
you did it towards then or now, if that person is for you, they will wait, they will come back to your lives, and they'll prove themselves to you that
Mhm.
they are supposed to be yours. Which
Mhm.
I love that you're kind of just like, you know what, I'm on my journey. And if our paths do meet and align, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you're not going to like go crazy. Like you're gonna
No.
let the universe bring you guys together organically the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
versus just trying to like force two puzzle pieces together when they really don't fit at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I think, when you're young, you don't really know much about anything. And like I personally didn't have anyone to ask for advice. Everybody around me was always going through it.
Hmm. Oh God,
We're in
the
like a
stories.
worser position, or like even people who are married, that I know, like, still have really a lot of issues.
Hmm.
Um, but I think if that were to have happened, and like, I would have followed my own advice that I have now, I wouldn't have. I think if me and George would have gone together, like it would have been good because maybe we would have had more life experience.
Yeah.
Our confidence levels would have been way different because when we were younger, we were not that confident.
Mhm.
Like I don't even know how the hell we ended up together. Like, but I think now, like, the way that I carry myself now and the way that he carries himself now, if we were to like walk into a room and we had not been together and we had just like reconnected, it would
Mhm.
have been way like it would have been fine. Like it would have been different. Um our energies probably would have matched, and we
Mhm.
wouldn't have been so insecure. Maybe it would have been better,
Yeah. Honestly, you guys probably would have been even more matured because, like, what the frontal lobe doesn't develop. I mean, for guys, it's even later,
Yeah,
but
I
like,
know. Oh God.
so like those little road bumps might not have been there
Yeah.
before. But then again, it's kind of sweet that you guys were able to grow up together
Yeah.
and kind of learn and fumble around as you went. But yeah, like honestly, life experience is such a great teacher because like
Mhm.
back when you're younger, like not much is happening or whatever.
No,
Like
you think you know everything.
yeah,
You don't know
exactly.
shit.
You really
No.
don't. Like you're back worrying about grades or like does that boy find me cute or whatever. But when real life hits, like
Oh
that's the
God.
lessons that you learn
Mhm.
and that shape you as a person,
Mhm.
really. And I think that makes the relationship even stronger, whether
Mhm.
you're older or younger. If you guys are going through stuff together and experiencing things together, like that is, I think, what makes relationships so rich versus just like, oh, he got me flowers and he called me pretty today. Like, no, when you
Yeah.
go through stuff,
I
that's
mean,
that's everything.
all of that stuff is cute and everything, but when like when real life, hits you, like you go through anything, you go maybe through like, depression, or you go through for me, like, I lost someone, I
Hmm.
lost my mom. Like, when you go through like real shit like that, and
Hmm.
like you have someone who's there and who doesn't, who like is just supporting you through all of that,
Yep.
or who is gonna like see through, or who knows who you really are deep down, and they know that this is just temporary. Like, you know, that's really like why I think we've been in a relationship for so long,
Yeah.
is because when we go through down in our lives, like I said, not really in the relationship, but like in our lives,
Yeah.
personal, um, we've been able to really support each other through that. Because I've actually heard stories, and I've been told by like people who I know that their partner, when they're like down, they have depression, or maybe they like lost someone,
Uh-huh.
the other person is like making it all about themselves and being like, "You're not paying attention to me," or making everything about themselves, like not even worried about what you're going
Oh
through,
my
and
gosh.
it's just kind of like it. I'm just like, why would you? It's That's not a relationship,
No.
that's not a
That's
partnership. Someone who really loves you, like they know that that happens in life,
Mhm.
and they're going to be there to support you all the way through,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
You don't want someone who's selfish and just constantly thinking about themselves.
Hmm.
Because, like, at one point, okay, maybe it's cute to be like, this person really takes care of themselves and care about their appearance. But if they can't, like, give the other person a little bit of empathy or, like, sympathy and listen to them, like, oh my God, like, I wouldn't want to go through anything, like,
Hmm.
traumatic or hard with them if they can't even, like, show an ounce of support or, like, care. Like, that's
No,
crazy.
it's crazy, and sometimes it's, and I always feel like that's why you shouldn't even like glamorize people's relationships,
Yeah.
because you never know how they are in real life.
Hmm.
Um, that
100%.
I personally, I don't look up to anybody's relationship. Like, I think that um, it's hard to look up to people's relationships nowadays.
I
Like,
mean, even the Obamas have admitted that their relationship is not
and
perfect,
I
you
like that,
know?
honestly.
That's like the most realistic
No, they're
relationship.
realistic.
Yes, versus like all of these glamour, celebrities, Ben
Hmm.
and J Lo and whoever else. Like,
Hmm.
no, like relationships are real hard work and are not on any way perfect or like problem free,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, everyone's relationship is their own. You
Hmm.
cannot compare apples to oranges across with this one, because what might work for one couple definitely does not work for another. So I don't think there's any one formula for the perfect relationship. And that is why we have Love is Blind and Married at First Sight, because people keep getting into relationships thinking that they know the perfect formula to
Hmm.
solving all these issues, and they're wrong every single time. So
Hmm.
that's all I gotta say. But
Hmm.
reality TV is taking advantage fully of all those issues.
Yeah, it makes for good drama and
It does,
stuff.
though. I love it so
But yeah,
much. Oh, I love it. Thank you
yeah,
so much for sharing your relationship with us.
okay.
Like, honestly, I feel like I'm learning even more. So
Um,
I'm excited for our future and our relationships and everything.
all right,
Okay,
nice.
I have a game for you. Maybe
Okay,
like a lightning speed round of, like, is it hot or not? That I just came up with just now. So
okay,
bear with me.
okay.
Long distance relationships. Do you think they're hot or not? And
Not,
why?
not, because I mean that person is like so far away. Like, what are you gonna? I mean, maybe you can talk on the phone and text, but
Zoom, we have technology now that's
Zoom.
like we're closer than ever
Yeah,
almost.
I don't know. I just don't think I that would work for me.
You have to like see your person and like be able to talk to them and touch them and everything.
Yeah, and I feel like I need to know if I'm comfortable around you. I mean, I could be comfortable around you maybe on the phone, but if I don't feel comfortable with you in person, nah, it's not gonna work
Okay.
for me. Yeah.
Um, High school or college sweethearts, hot or not?
Well, I guess for me it's hot because
Hmm.
that's my situation. Um, why? I don't know. I mean, I guess like you like you said, you grew up together. Um, Probably now that I'm older, it's probably more like college sweetheart because you're older
Yeah, that's a
and
good
you
point.
you kind of have more life experience, as opposed to high school, like you're kids. You're really just kids.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a kind of like in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like lukewarm.
Yeah.
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 Take the temperature. Okay. Dating apps, hot or not, and why?
mm, for me, I feel like it's it's like also in the middle
Okay.
because I mean I wouldn't know. I mean I haven't dated anyone in forever,
Mhm.
um, and I don't know. I feel like I feel weird getting on a dating app if I was single. I feel like I would prefer to meet people the old-fashioned way because I'm just very like quiet and shy,
Mhm.
as opposed to you. Like you're very outgoing.
I think it just takes a certain like conversation starter to
Hmm.
get you comfortable with someone. And like with dating apps, you do have to constantly just put yourself out there,
Hmm.
and there are always strangers on the other end. So it's basically like you have to constantly come with something because there's no such thing as pauses
Hmm.
via text or app.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's fair. I guess, yeah, for me, dating apps would be hot because
Hmm.
that's how I found my current
That's how you
relationship.
found it.
But I will
That's why I'm
say,
saying like I'm in the middle because some
yeah.
people, I'll actually know a few people who have gotten into serious relationships
Uh-huh.
off of a dating app. I just don't know if it would happen for me.
Hmm.
I don't know if it
Interesting. I will say that I don't believe in keeping the relationship on the dating
would.
app.
Oh, of course.
Like, as soon as you figure out that you are attracted to this person or want
Mhm.
to know more, get them off. Like, get their phone number, call them, Instagram DM, something, and meet them in person
Mhm.
because we are not robots.
Mhm.
So we cannot just have a digital relationship. So definitely getting there as off the app because the other thing too is that there are other fish and more tempting things
Mhm.
waiting for them on that app. So the
Yeah.
longer you have them on that app, the more they're
Mhm.
swiping and looking at other people and other, photos and having more conversations. And it's
Mhm.
just like, no, if you want this person, you better grab them
That's
immediately.
very true.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um
I agree.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Oh, blind dates. So like whether it's speed round dating or someone like your friend sets you up, hot or not.
For me, it's a not.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I would feel weird doing that. Yeah.
Is it the same like with dating apps, just like you don't know the person, so it's just gonna be a weird, awkward start anyway?
Yeah, and the thing about me is like it takes me a really long time to like trust someone.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like a blind date, I would just feel so awkward. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I think it's my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I know like that people do like speed dating and stuff like that. I think in theory it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think, like I said, I really mesh well with that.
That's
I feel
fair.
like I would just be very awkward, and I like to meet people like more slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, yeah, instead of just being immediately forced into this romantic dating atmosphere and
Yeah.
expected to just have a connection or not, I guess, and
Hmm.
just dealing with the aftermath of that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe for some people that's easier, because
Yeah.
you kind of like, okay, well, this was good, this was not. But
Right, you can just check, no, check. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah, I feel like that would either way, whether the person's extroverted or not,
Hmm.
it throws you out of your comfort zone. So you have to kind of just be genuinely authentic and in the moment, whether you are a quiet person or not.
I think I would have to be like a few drinks in to do
Uh,
that.
that always helps. That always helps.
Yeah, maybe if I was like
I love it.
that.
Okay, here's a juicy one. Do you think that you need to like know what your person has got going on underneath, or are you cool with, you know, dating until marriage? So like some people date to get married
Yeah. Hmm.
and other people, don't mind having like a one night stand or like getting to know their partner sexually before taking it to that next more permanent step. So are
Hmm.
you kind of like thinking, yeah, let your freak flag fly and like get to know the
Hmm.
person, and or no, you should move in together, get married first before all that stuff goes down.
Mm, I feel like I don't. I feel like that's more for people who, I guess, if you want to be celibate or if you're like,
Mm.
Christian or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
That's never been my belief.
Mhm.
I feel like I would like to know, what they have going on or,
Right.
whatever. Because what if you're not compatible with that person?
Then you're stuck with them and you're married to somebody who
Yeah,
doesn't even turn you on. Like, I
yeah,
don't get that.
yeah.
Not to like, celibate shame or
Hmm.
anything, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I mean, I know for a lot of people, that's like the most important thing is like, am I going to be able to, be sexually compatible with this person? For me, I don't feel like it's like the most important thing, but it's definitely important. Like,
mhm.
if I don't want to be in the same bed with you,
Like,
like I don't
right.
really want to marry you.
No, yeah, because
Yeah,
then you're stuck with this person.
yeah.
Like yeah, back in the what 50s and 40s they had separate beds, but that was like more of a just an old way of thinking thing. Like a
Mhm.
wife and a man should not be together unless they are focusing on procreating and having that child. Nowadays, there's just so many different living arrangements that you can have before marrying somebody. Like
Mhm.
I think it's important to know who your partner is like inside and out and
Mhm.
how they attract you than just, okay, fine. Although, some people will argue, why buy the calf? You get the milk for free. But
Mhm.
I also want to argue back, like,
Mhm.
you can't attract bees without some honey. Like,
Yeah.
how am I going to know what I like and what they like if we've never tried it out?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely live some mystery and allure. But if this is your person, then you might as well know everything about your person.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you can wait a long time if you really want to. Like, you can wait until you do all that stuff. But would I wait until marriage? Like, no. I would just wait it out. Like, okay, we just met. Um, you know, we want to do things, but I want to wait.
Yeah.
Because even with George, like, it was like a little bit of waiting too.
Hmm.
Um, that's just how I am. I know a lot of people they just like to get straight into it, and that's fine
Yeah.
too. It's just for me, I feel more comfortable having that person wait.
Hmm.
You can wait,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
having that build that connection first.
Yeah,
And again, like we said earlier, kind of like if this person is for you, they're going to be for you. They're
they're
gonna
gonna
wait
wait.
and
If
prove.
you
Yeah.
if you really want them, if they really want you, they will wait.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Preach.
I made him wait.
Yes.
Yeah,
And look at you now. You want to flash the ring for all of
yeah.
our video people? Mine is
Yes,
still
my
empty,
ring.
but it's beautiful.
It's empty.
For now, maybe next episode will be different.
Oh my god.
Yes, publicly
Yes.
shame him.
That's
Oh my
funny.
gosh, I love it. No, this has been great, honestly. I feel like I've learned a lot and it kind of made me rethink some things about relationships and, traditional versus non traditional.
Mhm.
But I think this has been so much fun. How
Mhm.
about you?
It was fun. Yeah, I
Yay.
think people ask me for advice like all the time, and I'm like, I can give you advice, but it's gonna be a long conversation because I can't just tell you like one little thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like many things.
Yeah, honestly. And
Yeah.
there's so many things that relate to other topics and things that you haven't even thought about, too,
Hmm.
which is amazing. So,
Yeah, there's things that I thought about now that I never thought about like 2 years ago. It's
yeah.
like now I'm just like, oh, and it's a different path of my life now. I'm gonna be like married and that's different. So
Yeah.
I mean at least I would like think it's different.
What do you
Yeah.
think would be different, like married life versus just, being in a relationship for so long?
Well, I think when you're married, like, that everyone sees you like as a married couple, like, oh well,
Mhm.
they're married now. Like,
They're
they're
serious.
not just boyfriend and girlfriend, like
Yeah.
they're married. Like my family has told me like, oh, um it's good that you're how do like I don't know how you say it in English, but like basically like you're like solidifying, I guess, like
Hmm.
the relationship, like you're taking it to that next level.
Hmm.
You're being like more formal about it.
Hmm.
It's kind of like how they say um,
How would they say it in Spanish?
formalizar, like
Ooh.
it just means like you're basically like putting things in stone, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. You're like formalizing it. Like
Yeah.
you have a contract with this person
No, I mean
now.
yeah, because that
Yeah.
that pretty much is what it is, and it's just like if something ever to happen, like in the hospital, who are they gonna call? They're not gonna call his mom no more. They're gonna call
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah. You are, yeah, the direct next of kin. You
Hmm.
are, the person in charge of all their finances and all the legal stuff. Like,
Yeah.
you're their person,
Hmm.
like, legally now,
Yeah.
which is wild to even think, but it's that important. Like, even the government is recognizing y'all. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. So I mean, all those things change, and it's like when you're someone's wife, I think it's just also when you say it, like
Hmm.
I think they're just like, oh, I just want to be able to say it, you know. So
Like, that's my wifey.
yeah,
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 I love
and
it.
then it's just that that next step that I think not everybody wants to get married, which is fine. But if you do want to get married, I think you can, make it what you want. You don't have to like think of marriage as like this horrible thing,
Mhm.
you
And it's not one size fits all
know.
either.
Uh huh.
Like, it's really however you and your partner, whoever's in it, like, envision this marriage to be. Because I think a lot of people are obviously putting a lot of emphasis on the wedding, the big day.
Mhm.
But like, after that, what happens? It's not happily ever after.
Oh
Like we
no,
said, like, you gotta work on the marriage, make
you
that
have to work
last.
on the marriage, and I
Yeah.
think it can be beautiful beforehand. I was like not a huge marriage person.
Hmm.
Um, it took just a lot of like I think personal growth and just like learning more about relationships that actually work as opposed to like going off of what you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's nice that we're doing that. It's
Hmm.
like crazy because it's like when you're together for so long, it's not like you don't really set importance to it, but like sometimes you kind of like just forget, like, oh, we've been
Hmm.
together. But then, you know, George was like, no, I think we should get married, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll let you know when I feel like you can, when I want to get married. Um, and then the time came, and I was like, okay, well, I think we're in a good place. Um, if you want to do it, then you can. And then like the next month, I was
Oh my
engaged.
god,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
congratulations. I
Mhm.
also love how it wasn't like a huge surprise. Like, you guys talked about this. You made sure that you were ready, that he was ready, and
Mhm.
that you guys had an idea of what
Mhm.
you wanted to come out of this. It wasn't just, oh my god, we've been together forever. Like,
No,
we
it was
need to
not
get
that. It
okay.
was not that. I think that's like too. That's probably like why a lot of people get married after they've been dating for so long. It's like, oh, well, we've
Hmm.
just been together for so long.
Right.
It's weird for me to say that because I've been together with him for so long.
Hmm.
But I think because we started dating when we were so young,
Yeah.
it's almost like those first few years are kind of just like your test years. And then like after you're like 22, 23, 24, it's kind of like more like, okay, well, like these years really do count.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like, okay, I was always one of those people that was like, I don't care if I get married at 25. Like, because a lot of people, they want to get married at 25 and they
Right.
want to have their first kid by like
Oh
27.
my god.
I never cared about that stuff at
Yeah.
all. It just happened that it worked out for me that way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. You weren't like rushing or pushing for anything.
No,
Like,
I
it just
wasn't.
happened.
It just happened. And like, I was surprised when George proposed to me too because I didn't think it was going to happen so quick after I told him, like, all right,
Mm.
like, you can do it now if you want.
Uh-huh.
I kind of was like, okay, it is, it's both of our decision really at the end of the day
Right.
because you as the woman have to say yes.
Right.
But I was like, I feel like now I'm mentally ready because I didn't want to get married when I was too young.
Yeah.
I wanted to have my brain fully developed,
Very important.
so I was yeah, so I was basically 25 already, and I told George, yeah, I think we're in a place where really what we cared about is like, did we have somewhere to live if we got married?
Mm,
Because we
mm.
were living separately,
Yeah, that's a good point.
so it's
Yeah.
like, do we have somewhere to live? Do we have that? And once we had that, I was like, okay, now this is more, solidified or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, you're like solid ground now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was all he needed as well. So it ended up being nice because it was like a cute little surprise, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, okay, what time is it? Like, it's already time, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Everything's like set up, planned, like you know each other,
Yeah.
you know, your goals, your dreams, and you have like the solid foundation, I think, not just the house together, but
Hmm.
also the history and knowing each other
Hmm.
and being each other's like biggest supporters, I think.
Hmm.
Like it was awesome that you were able to like realize when the moment felt right for you
Hmm.
and for him when it felt right for him. Because I think again, for the guy in this whole circus, it's like they have to propose. They have to have like the best proposal and find the ring and,
Hmm.
get someone to film it for Instagram or
Hmm.
whatever. But it's like the guy isn't just a pawn in all this. Like,
No.
we focus on the bride, but like the guy also needs to like be taken care of and actually be 100% in this as well.
Yeah, they have to be in it, and I think the guy also has to feel like they're ready to be a husband,
Yeah,
because
it's huge.
when you're a husband, you have to do a lot of things as well.
Hmm.
You have to be a provider. You have to be in a certain stage, maybe in your career or something like that. If you feel like you want to be a husband or you want to be a father. um so yeah, I think he even told me like he wanted to propose to me like 2 years before that.
Oh, wow. He was
But
ready, ready.
yeah, he was like ready. I feel like men know like when you're the right person for them.
I love that. Yeah.
But like I said, I felt like I was too young.
Hmm.
And I was like, I want to do this on my terms as well. Like, I don't want to disrespect your time, but he is a little bit older than me.
Hmm.
So I was like, just give me some time and I'll let you know. And he trusted me, so then I
Yeah.
told him when I was ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because honestly, once you're together and you get, engaged, I feel like time kind of flies fast
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes a lot more of a we thing and less of your me time. And so figuring out your goals and what you want to complete by yourself, like you kind of do have to prioritize that because the we gets so much bigger when you guys
Mm-hmm.
decide that, okay, we're going to get engaged, we're going to get married, we're going to do this, that. I mean, wedding planning and like the ceremony and everything, I'm sure has taken like a lot of your time
It
already
is,
too.
yeah.
Like, I've been a bridesmaid like twice now. And
Mm-hmm.
like, even from that perspective, it just seems like so much.
Mm-hmm.
And almost unfairly is put on the woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
do you guys feel you're kind of not, it's not a burden, but you're like
Mm-hmm.
kind of shouldering the responsibility equally? Or you kind of like, are you mostly playing things? Or is he mostly playing things? Or you guys just like chill, like whatever happens, happens. But hey, we have the, certificate or whatever. So we're going to be married no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, it was more me like initiating, because like the day was the date that we wanted was coming up, and
Hmm.
we had like not really planned anything because there was just like a lot of things going on in our
Hmm.
personal lives.
Hmm.
But then I was like, oh crap, like and him too. He was like, oh crap, you're right. Like we haven't done much planning.
Yeah. And the date you have to get from the place. Like you can't just tell them, oh, I
Mhm.
want to get married on certain, like they have their certain dates that are open and
They have their
available.
certain dates,
Right.
and we had this specific date that we wanted. Because when George proposed to me, I told him that if you're gonna propose to me, I need you to have a date,
Hmm.
because we're not gonna be doing this whole like, oh, you do everything, you figure out the date. You want to marry me, you tell me what date it's gonna be on. That's
Amazing.
just me,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
because some engagements can go on for years.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because people are picky and just trying to like make everything perfect
Hmm.
or what. But yeah, those things, if you don't like get on it, it can last forever
Well, I've
longer.
heard of that, about really, really long engagements,
Hmm.
and I feel like we've
Crazy.
had a good length engagement. It's been like a year and something.
Hmm.
But I told him like I don't want to be like was it Pam and in the office? I don't know if you watched that show.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, but
Pam
like
and that guy who worked in the
in the
shipping
warehouse,
warehouse. Yeah, and they've been.
and they had a super long engagement.
Hmm.
And then I also know other people who had like really long engagements,
Hmm.
and it's like it just keeps like going on, and I'm like, please just give me a date. Like you better have that date.
Hmm.
And so he did have that date.
Nice.
And then now it's kind of like more shouldering, like, okay, you call this person, I call this person.
Hmm.
um, I guess it's mostly been me though, because uh I like set appointments for us to go to like venues and stuff.
Oh, so you will go together and
Yeah, we'll go
figure stuff
together.
out. Okay, that's good.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like both of us have to make the decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been fine because we're not doing something huge. It's just like very like there's gonna be food and then there's gonna be a ceremony, and
Nice.
that's how I like to keep it. I don't want to do nothing crazy.
Right. It's not a huge production, you know.
No, because I really don't care. I feel like there's no need for us to have a big production at this point. I just want to like look cute and
Mhm.
eat good food and just like spend time with people who actually care about us, not like
Yeah.
a bunch of people that we don't even really talk to like that.
Exactly.
You
I
know.
mean, just think of the thank you notes that you'll be saving,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Like inviting people who actually support you guys and the marriage would
Mm-hmm.
be a better celebration than like, I don't know, renting out the craziest venue and like having fireworks and crazy stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So whatever's perfect for you guys is perfect for you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I
Yes.
have an invite, so I'm going.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we have not covered that you want to share about love, dating, relationships that we haven't really touched on at all? Any final words?
Mm, I don't know. I guess like to to people who are not in a relationship,
Mhm.
um, I just feel like the person will come when the person comes.
Mhm.
Because I also have a lot of people who maybe they're single or they think that being in a relationship is gonna like solve their issues.
Mm, yeah.
But maybe you need to be single,
Mhm.
or if you're in a relationship and you're going through it's not an easy, being in a long-term relationship. So I don't know, maybe you need to go to therapy or something. I've considered like going to like marriage counseling and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I feel like because the more prevention you have is probably like better.
Yeah, it's
You know?
honestly think of it as like a safety net. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know Catholics, like before you get married, you have to go through marriage counseling, so at least you have the basics and the foundation together. Because again, I don't even think there's really a real book on how marriage is supposed to be. But
Mm-hmm.
like again, I think the emphasis on the wedding day is way too big and heavy
Mm-hmm.
versus how are we going to function as a couple
Mm-hmm.
for daily life, for better, for worse, sickness and health. Like it's a long road. So I think therapy is a great way to help, but also I love the shout out you give to the single ladies and gents and the days and thems, like work on yourself, love yourself first, and the rest will come. If that person is meant for you, they'll come to you. And for now, just enjoy, life. Because single life is awesome too. Like there's nobody to answer to. You can sleep as late as you want. You can walk around in your PJs or your underwear, and nobody's there to judge you. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not knocking the single life at all, but yeah, like honestly, grow as a person, and that other person will come. And you'll also know your self worth even more too, I think, when you appreciate your singleness and appreciate who you are. Because there are a lot of people who will kind of just be like, oh, well, they want to date me, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, once you really truly know yourself and what you want, you know what you will not settle for. So, oh,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, yeah, thank you so much for
Thank you for
talking with
having
us,
me.
Maya.
Yeah, it was fun. I
I
like
love it.
talking.
I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I love talking to you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We have
hopefully,
great conversation.
bruh, the best. Like
Yeah.
I love it. So hopefully we can have you back on the podcast again
Mm-hmm.
soon
Mm-hmm.
and talk about some other really good juicy stuff.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll be thinking upon that. But yeah, everybody say thank you, Maya. Yay! Clap for ourselves. Amazing. And I will have even more juicy stuff for you guys soon. But I hope you loved the video format and our Q&A interview type of episode. But yeah, I'm super excited for this episode and how it turned out. So let me know if you guys want even more video content, if you want even more guests, what else you want me to talk about. I am all ears to my loyal listeners. And yeah, that wraps up a very juicy, amazing guest led, again, snaps and claps to Maya episode of the Bad Millennial podcast. And I will be talking to you guys again very soon.